gamers? We're coming at you from the past with our review of Time Stories, the Marcy case. Once again, this is designed by Space Cowboys and published by Asmodee, and the designer is Nicolas Normando. I know Space Cowboys is a French company, so I think I got it right this time. I definitely got the first designer's name wrong. And with that being said, I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about Time Stories itself, and then we'll talk to you about the Marcy case.
So Time Stories is a cooperative game that plays 2 to 4 players in about 90 minutes. Is intended for people 12 and above.
Now, we're going to move right into our review of the Marcy case, popping up somewhere above our heads. There will be a link that will take you back to our review of Time Stories, where we'll show you a little bit more about how to set up the game, a little bit on how to play the game. Right now, we're just really going to be talking about this case in general. Warning, there will be some spoilers, mainly in terms of things like the theme, but we're not going to try to give away any aspects of the story itself.
We're going to try very hard to keep things under wraps.
Under wraps. Spoiler light is our goal, and very light on the spoilers. With that being said, I'm going to let Julie tell you more about the Marcy case, because it's already been brought to the table.
Yeah, the Marcy case is a little truer to what I would consider, your normal mysteries that you're trying to solve. You're basically trying to rescue a girl, and basically she's gone missing, and you're trying to rescue her. So you've been set back in time. She's important to the future, and you're going to go try to figure out where she is and how to rescue her.
Yep. The interesting thing about the Marcy case is this is the first one with some of the events that kind of hints at the overall story of Time Stories that you can find on www.thetimeagency.net. Don't worry, I'll fill you in once we get to that point. There was some cool stuff that happens in the end, and if you want to know more about how that ties into everything, information is online. Now, the Marcy case does differ a lot from Asylum, the base game for Time Stories. Once again, you've got your map, you're moving around your map, but unlike Asylum, you are able to start in any of the locations that you've unlocked when you die. Also, this is a mission where you will be fighting zombies. I know, like I said, light spoiler, but you see zombies right from the beginning of the game. Now, there is a card where as you shoot and get into combat, you make noise, potentially attracting zombies. There are street cards, which is a new mechanic, and as you're moving around the city, you may encounter zombies or get lucky and not encounter anything at all. Now, one thing that I do want to mention, because it's something that we did make a mistake on, is what permission means in Time Stories, specifically for the Marcy case. There is a section that you're going to go to called the hotel. Now, once you're in the hotel and you've successfully moved up to the second floor, you do have permission, meaning that you can access the locked door that's there if you have what you need to access it. That's all I want to say. It was a mistake and actually probably cost us completing the game on our second run. Instead, we ended up going and doing a third run because of that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you think about the case in terms of what you get, the experience? How did you enjoy it compared to Asylum?
So we're going right into our review.
Yeah, we're going to go right into our review. No need to do any breaks and anything here.
Okay.
I can just timestamp it all for those of you that are wondering what's going on here.
I enjoyed this one a lot more. Like I said, it's a little closer to your typical mystery. We've got an FBI agent. We've got a reporter.
Someone that got dragged out of retirement.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a little bit more in line with...
And the bodyguard, sorry.
It's a little bit more in line with what I was expecting from Time Stories as the receptacles that we're going to be integrating. I like the story. I mean, despite the fact there are zombies, if you've listened to any of my reviews, I'm not a huge fan of zombies.
She doesn't really like horror in general, but there are some games she's enjoyed. Surprisingly enough, she liked Arkham Horror, and she does not mind cutting zombies in half in Zombicide Fantasy. Yet she's not interested in Zombicide Modern. Give her a sword, she's fine. Give her a gun, not so much.
So I really
like in this case.
I really like the added component of making that difficult decision to make noise, because it does have some bad elements that come related to it. And I think that's a component that I really liked about this. I like the fact that you can jump into any scenario, as you mentioned as well.
Yeah. And one thing I just wanted to mention, because you brought up a great point with making noise. When you shoot a gun, you make noise. If you fight a zombie using a melee attack, which you can do, you automatically trigger the riposte. You can find out more information on that when you take a look at our How to Play of Time Stories.
So those are two things that I really enjoyed. I also like that there's more components that you learn from, and I think that was the biggest gripe I had with with Asylum, is that at least in this case, when you learn something, and they don't hold it against you afterwards. That there are some things that you have, tangible things that you still need to pick up, but stuff that you've learned. And I think that's the biggest difference between the two that made this game a lot more enjoyable. I have no problem having to go pick up something because I know that I will physically need it, but I hate having to go back through something that I would not go back through because I've learned that would be a bad thing to do.
Now, the way this case is designed is far superior to Asylum. I felt that each run we were making progress, whereas Asylum, I felt that we kind of got off on a tangent, could easily spin around in circles, whereas the Marcy case was like, okay, we did all of this. Oh, we don't need to go back here? Perfect. We're going to move on to do this. Oh, great. We've got all this information now. That's great. Now you do have to take some notes, and I do recommend taking notes about you're going to be encountering different people. And without giving too many spoilers, make notes about those people, especially as you uncover clues about them so that you're not wasting your time doing another full loop of the game. And as Julie said, the stuff that needs to carry over does carry over, which is just primarily the map, as in
I wouldn't go into what needs to carry over.
No, but I said like the things that carry over for sure is the map, definitely. Like that's the one thing that carries over, much like Asylum. As you discover, the map is a key aspect of Time Stories. But the other things that don't necessarily carry over, as you're experiencing the game and making notes, you can go back and pick it up very efficiently, something I did not find was doable in Asylum. With regards to Asylum, there was that one encounter where we got what we needed, but all of a sudden we're now going down this dark, stormy path, and it's just takes us in the roundabout way, which I did not find about this game, which I really liked.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, I think it was much tighter, much easier to play, and you can play 2 sessions one after the other and not feel like the game is clunky. And I enjoyed the story, and I really don't want to give more than that away, just to say this version, this storyline, I think fixes a lot of the issues that we had with the previous version.
No, it does, and it also plays into why I gave Time Stories 6 in terms of the base system, because Asylum, in my opinion, sucked, and the Marcy case is a much better experience. And if Time Story scenarios play more like the Marcy case, I would give it a higher rating, but there is that, that chance for everything to still sort of fluctuate. But progressing was nice, and what I really liked about it was the fact that even though the game says, it's each session is going to be 90 minutes, it did not feel that way with regards to the Marcy case. I think the first 2 sessions were closer to 90 minutes as we're trying to map something out. But once I figured everything out, well, not I.
was going to say, you figured it out?
We'd figured everything out. I said that because Julie was a little tired, so she had me make the plan of our route to do everything. And then our last third run, after we realized we made a mistake that could have led us into on the second one, we kind of executed our plan perfectly, and we were done in about a half hour. Something I did not think would have been possible in Asylum. So that being said, I think we've really covered sort of the differences in the 2 scenarios, whereas Asylum, you've got to kind of go back and find everything. With the Marcy case, items are a big part of what you need to do, but there's a definite progression. Is like in one place that you find this item, and this item, well, you've unlocked some of the information that you need going into the future. Now, it's not necessarily going to be readily available in the game, some of that knowledge, so please take notes. Note-taking is a must in Time Stories.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
So, what are you going to give Time Stories, the Marcy case, in terms of a score?
Well, and I think you mentioned it when we rated the first version. I gave the Time Stories, the game, a 7, and to me that's because this is a 7. So I think that the base game itself, the system, allows for this. So for me, this one is a 7.
No, and I'm going to agree with you. This is a 7. There were still a couple of things that I didn't like, some clunkiness type stuff, but largely that's just due to the way things are presented in the rules. And there's one really poor design choice that I'm not going to mention. An experience that I don't think either of us enjoyed, and something that is easily avoidable to the point where I almost think it could have been entirely left out of the whole scenario. But don't want to give you guys any spoilers. So I agree, the Marcy case is a 7, and this showcases some of what Time Stories can be, and I think it can be even better. Now, we will be reviewing in the near future Prophecy of Dragons. Probably in a couple of weeks, you're going to see a review of that on the channel. And hopefully we like that just as much as the Marcy case. You never know. It could be going like this. It might get to the point where we play a scenario and Julie goes, all right, after the last one and this one, I'm done. Or it could be me that says I'm done. But we plan to get through all of the white stories and then eventually move on to the blue series, which is the new version of Time Stories that's coming out, which actually is going to be entirely playable in one box. So there won't be like a base game and expansions.
Okay.
All right, so what is the time?
Well, it's time to like, comment, or subscribe. There'll be links, obviously, to the first Time Story, and once we get to the third one, to that one as well.
Yep, so we're going to be doing Prophecy of Dragons, and then I think the third one, I'm trying to blank on the name. I know it's the Egyptian one. I think it's Under the Mask. That'll be the one that we're going to be doing after Prophecy of Dragons, trying to go through them in release order.
Sounds good. So we're going to grab our drinks.
Grabbing our drinks, grabbing our best friend.
Yeah, we're going to keep playing games.
Keep playing games and keep playing Time Stories. For the moment, hopefully it holds up.